Let's move on to our final film and talk about this new original sci-fi flick, The Creator, which is directed by Gareth Edwards, who is most recently coming off of Rogue One, a Star Wars
Mhm.
story. He also directed the 2014 Godzilla movie, which launched the new era of sort of the monsterverse under Warner Brothers, which led to Kong Skull Island, Godzilla versus Kong, Godzilla King of the Monsters, so that was a decently reviewed film. It wasn't critically acclaimed or anything, but it made really, really good money and obviously kickstarted a franchise. Rogue One is a bit of a different beast. He directed a lot of it, but then notably at the end of production or towards the end of production, they had to bring in Tony Gilroy to sort of shape up
Mhm.
the production and I think ultimately just help him. I think that's what it boiled down to. He needed help, and Lucasfilm brought in Tony Gilroy. We know Tony Gilroy is now working on Andor, and so there's been a lot about Gareth Edwards as a filmmaker and his ability and what is he actually good at, and what where does his real talents lie? Well, apparently it's an original storytelling because a lot of people were anticipating The Creator, and this movie stars John David Washington in another starring role. And I know before seeing this, there was a lot of acclaim about the movie, a lot of positive
Mhm.
reception, and a lot of people saying like this might be one of the best original sci-fi films in years. And it's totally unique. It's not a previous IP or a previous franchise. It's just its own story. And it's in theaters because traditionally this type of movie would go straight to Netflix or straight to Hulu. It wouldn't go in theaters. And so I think it was actually a revelation and actually a great thing that it did get a theatrical rollout at $80 million, which is about what it's budgeted at. And so we also got a chance to check out this film with all of that out the way, man. I want to, sort of pass it over to you to hear your thoughts. What do you think about Gareth Edwards' new movie, The Creator?
Yeah, I will start with the positive, man, and say the creator is it's an important film, I think, because of one, the budget it has received, and two, the way it looks given that budget. I think this movie looks really good. I mean, you talking about 80 million, the movie looks like this. I think it's pretty impressive. Not only that, but because me and you have talked at lengths about these people, about these companies that are just throwing money at these franchises and telling us, oh, it has to look this way, it has to look that way, and us expecting, oh man, it has big budget also leads to big return. And I think the creator is a good example of you don't have to have the biggest budget in the world for the movie to look that good. You know what I mean? Like this, you can. There's a lot of other things you can do to get a movie to look good, and I was very impressed by the look of the creator. Man, I found myself looking at certain parts like, man, that looks really good. Or, man, that looks really good too. Only 80 mil? Oh yeah, only 80 mil. And so I enjoyed at least those parts of the film. Now, everything else, it's kind of up in the air. To be honest, this is a movie I might have to watch again because I am so surprised how much I didn't like in this movie. And there is okay, so this movie is very, very, very heavy on AI, right? It's literally a story between I'm gonna read the synopsis, damn it. As a future war between the human race and artificial intelligence rages on, ex special forces against Josh Agent Joshua is recruited to hunt down and kill the creator, an architect of advanced AI. The creator has developed a mysterious weapon that has the power to end war and all of mankind. As Joshua and his team of elite operatives venture into enemy occupied territory, they soon discover the world ending weapon is actually an AI in the form of a young child. Now, my problem with this movie, I'm not mad that it's AI, right? In fact, now more than ever, a lot of the AI movies that we've had or content that we've had is probably more pertinent than ever, right? We were talking about AI like closer to reality in the year 2023 than we ever have. Like it's kind of crazy, right? This movie doesn't ask any new questions than any other of the AI movies that I feel like I've watched before. I feel like I was watching the same movies put together in one. I was watching I Robot. I was watching 2001: A Space Odyssey. I was watching Total Recall. I was watching, you know what I mean? Like it was all of these technological, I think, ideas that have to do with AI and putting them in a movie again. Like I was looking for something new, and I think I felt like because it is closer to home now than it's ever been that this movie has have something new to say, but it doesn't. It's like, oh, man doesn't like AI. Man has to find a way to work with AI. Now man likes AI again. I think like damn, I've seen this movie 50 times. Are we doing this again? So I had a problem wrapping my head around that part of the film to where I was just expecting new things to happen. And I didn't really get that. And again, instead, a lot of the new things I was seeing were visual. Shout out to Greg Fraser, of course, was visual and not necessarily have to do with the story. The second thing I'll add, and then I'll leave this alone, man, was it was a lot of it was the performances. By the end of the film, there was a lot of like just corny shit happening to me. I'm sorry. It was like there's a moment, very small spoiler, but between like Jim McChan's character and John David Washington's character, and they're like running towards each other in a field, and they're like, Josh, Maya, Josh, Maya. I was like, is this serious? Is this what movie is this? What soap opera am I watching right now? Like it felt really corny, really cheesy, and really like I guess tonally off. Like it was just missing. And I was like missing, I don't know. I was missing the cool factor. I think that's what it is. Like, there's like if you tell me there's a sci-fi movie and it's AI involved, I'm like, oh, there's going to be some coolness to it. Especially, bro, I love people. You ask me, I love Blade Runner 2049, right? Like, that is like that's one of my levels I'm looking at for like this futuristic kind of looking movie. And this thing here, man, and like the creator is, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me, man. It just doesn't work for me. And so overall, again, I think there's some lessons to be taken from the creator with budget, the way it looks, and how Hollywood gives movies again budget and certain amount of money, and what that can mean for the box office, right? If the movie is good. But other than that, I could not find a lot of merit in watching this film, man, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I just didn't like the movie. I was severely let down, especially hearing early reactions saying that this was an achievement, and feeling like Gareth Edwards might have a comeback, so to say. Not that he ever really went away, but there has been a narrative around his filmmaking
Mhm.
abilities and his style, and it's unfortunate because this doesn't really do much in helping his case in my eyes with this movie. And all that stuff you said about the visuals is 1,000% true. You know, he is clearly talented when it comes to visual
Mhm.
storytelling. I mean, he's similar to Zack Snyder in that way, where the movie itself
Mm.
might have some questions, but I'll never deny that it looks great. And he's able to make $80 million look like $200 million, and that's impressive. And he used technology, some special cameras that aren't even like the most highly equipped, high
Mhm.
technological cameras in the industry. Like
Mhm.
he used some stuff that was relatively inexpensive to make this all happen. So frugal, great. I love that. I love that it can send a message to Hollywood about what actually good movie is and what can make money or what needs a certain budget level. Because we do miss the mid budget movies. Like that's pretty much been wiped out as a genre, and it shouldn't be. We need that. We need that to exist in theaters specifically. It shouldn't just get dumped on streaming, but it still has to be good. And this just wasn't good. The story just wasn't there. Like none of the story worked for me at all. I didn't feel any
Simple.
chemistry between the characters. No performance really stood out. And I got to be honest, I am kind of tired of stories about grown men taking care of little children. We've been there, we've done that. Pedro Pascal got that locked up. Last of Us, Mandalorian, he does it well. We tried it with Obi-Wan taking care of young Leia. I'm sick of it. I don't want any fucking helpless kids in my stories anymore. That might be immature of me to say, but Terminator did it and it did it well, and that was kind of the end of it for me. Like we
Mhm.
don't. James Cameron got that, but everybody else, I don't know what y'all doing because I'm just tired of these helpless fucking kids getting involved in these situations. How do you feel about John David Washington as like a leading man? Because like this is another big movie for him. He has been at the forefront of a lot of films, and I don't know, man. I don't know about him. I like him, but there's something that just ain't working for me, especially when you look at his
Uh,
trajectory and what he's been a part of. Because I saw Amsterdam last year, and that's also not a great movie at all. Not just doesn't work. How do you feel about him and just like where he's at right now as like a leading man in Hollywood?
I cannot figure him out, man, because it's so weird because I want to like him, and he keeps working with filmmakers I like, right? You know, he works with Christopher Nolan. He got Spike Lee under his belt. You know what I'm saying? And I actually really like his performance in Malcolm and Marie. It's not the perfect movie or anything. But I was like, oh, they're doing pretty good work in Malcolm and Marie. So it's really weird for me, man. To be honest, this movie is probably my least favorite performance of John David Washington, if I'm being honest. Like, I was just not there in the film with him, man. If you remember that movie, remember Beckett? Didn't that come out on like Netflix or something?
Oh, I didn't
Like
even
Beckett, it
watch
was
that
like
one,
him.
but I do
You didn't
remember it
watch it?
though.
Yeah, and I do remember again, his performances never feel like that bad. This was like the only one I was like, oh, this is John David Washington. I don't know about this one, brother. Other than that, I've always like I never hate his performances. I just don't love the movies he's in. And I don't know if there's a way he can backtrack a little bit, right? Because some of the earlier films he was doing, like Monsters and Men
Hmm.
and Monster, yeah, and Monster, those movies, they're decent movies, right? It's like, oh, actually, this movie is pretty good. Recently, I just haven't been able to say that, though I don't mind his performance. So, like, maybe he needs to take a step back, maybe not work with such big budget movies right now. Like, maybe take one step back, go back to like a Malcolm Emery, right? Maybe do something a little more drawn back, a little more under budget, maybe a smaller filmmaker, a smaller director, and maybe produce a little bit more on that level, and then maybe work his way back up. Because something about these big ones, I don't know. Like you said, it's a really hard thing to feel for him right now. Because maybe there is a movie out there for him, and he's just getting unlucky, or it just hasn't hit for him yet. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's he's in a weird spot for me right now. I don't know how to place it.
Yeah, I think he's fine as an actor, but really a supporting actor. Him as a leading man, like them trying
Mm.
to make that a thing in Hollywood. Like obviously Hollywood wants that for him. I get it, obviously, but that ain't that ain't really
And an
working for
action
me.
man at that. Like, he's supposed to be like,
Yeah, exactly. He's doing a lot
you
of that
know,
too. He's leaning into a lot of action and
tenant
sci-fi.
creator. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that stuff. Yeah, I'm just not. I'm not seeing that. That's not drawing a connection for me in the ways that I think that they're hoping for.
Hmm.
I think that there's probably some other pockets he would be better served at. And typically, what I've noticed in terms of where I've liked him the most is just acting opposite of somebody that is really really good, really strong. I think chemistry is important, and he has to work with somebody that he has chemistry with. But like these action movies, him being kind of that front leading man, I don't know. That ain't working for me. So we'll have to see, what he does next. But can't deny his ambition and his hopes to really become a huge, huge star. But those are all of our reviews that we had to get through.